What's up, fam? Welcome back. Let's dive right into the latest video.
I've been standing in the quiet here, every second stretching into years. All these faces, but I only see, baby, come here to me, come here to me. Oh, all my doubts trying to talk to me. Ooh, every fear I've been carrying, falling silent in the space between. Baby, come on to me, come on to me. Oh, no more running from the moment, no more hiding in the past. I'm here with my heart in the open, my hands stretched out to you. I said I would live for you, baby, and I mean every word I swore. I thought I was dreaming, but tonight I found my life when I saw that smile. I don't wanna lose you, baby, I don't need anything more. This is our forever, and tonight I found my life when you walked down the aisle.
All right. So that's it. Up until this point in my career, this was the best wedding film. I learned a lot. This venue was so easy to shoot at because there's not a bad angle here. So let's jump back to the beginning. Disclaimer, this is not the original video that I sent to the couple. I would say 98% of the clips in this was not in the final video. This was strictly, hey, I've got a lot of leftover content that I didn't use. Let me just put another video out just to get some more content. So let's jump in. First, some detail shots there, pretty standard. Love the light coming in through the chandelier. I try to backlight when possible. Just some good detail shots. Drone footage is the absolute worst to color grade. So I know some of my drone footage is gonna look inconsistent, but that's still one of those things to where I force myself to color grade it because I gotta get better at it, but it's hard to match them up sometimes. God, I love this shot. I remember we were sitting here with the photographer. We were debating on where to put the dress. I'm not a huge fan of getting a dress shot just to have a dress shot. I try to put story through my films. Having these detail shots really doesn't drive the story unless there is a specific reason for the dress. Maybe it's a grandmother's dress passed down. Maybe the bride requested it. But I don't get the footage just to have because I go into each day with a shot list of what I need. I'm not there to go, hey, grab this just in case we need it. Hey, grab this just in case we need it. Hey, what about this over here? I don't do that. We're there with a very strict shot list that we're getting. But on this day, it was our first time shooting at this venue, and I wanted to get every bit of coverage that I possibly could. Me and Jacob were there. We wanted to get every single bit of this as possible. We were debating on where to put the dress at. I looked over at Chandler and I was like, what about this chandelier hanging down this spiral staircase? And he was all for it, but we were like, is it gonna hold? Because, and the last thing I wanna do is put a very heavy bride dress up there, it come tumbling down. So I crawled up the steps, hung the hanger on the chandelier, and he was taking the weight off the bottom. We gently just kind of let it go and it hung, and so we went with it. Turned out to be a great shot.
I've been standing.
This right here is one take I did not know that I had, and I love long takes. So I kind of put this in just to kind of let it breathe a little bit. I know he walks out of frame there, and you'll have some people say, oh, you missed framing, you wouldn't, whatever. It's art, it's taste, right? Some people like it, some people don't like it. Sent this to the bride, they loved it. That's all that matters. It's their money, they paid for it, great.
Come here to me, come here to me, oh, all my doubts trying to talk to me. Ooh, every fear I've been carrying.
I used none of the groom and best man in the final film. I might have had one shot of them at the bluff, but just they were posing for the camera. The getting ready stuff, again, it's to taste. If you want a videographer that's gonna check all those boxes and just give you a highlight film, great. But I want to dive more into the story behind it because my ultimate goal is to make every wedding film feel like it's a movie. That's my goal. With this little excerpt here, I thought better and just go, you know what? Let's use the footage that we didn't use and see if we can create a full video out of it. So you can also tell this was shot at 60 frames per second because the motion blur is a little bit jittery. It's not true 24 frames. That's only for the hardcore purists out there. I'm also on the bass drum cutting between the pictures. Right there. And then again right here. Again, highlight video, not final deliverable. This was extra footage. I'm a firm believer in if we can recut and re-edit and just put stuff out there, especially for content and social media, go for it. And again, I know I said this in one of my other videos, but don't be scared to blow out a window. When you watch all these YouTubers and filmmakers that claim that blowing out a window is amateurish, they say that tongue-in-cheek, sort of, because if you don't know how to expose and you blow out windows and you blow out your highlights, that's one thing. But when you're at a wedding, there's no time to bring in all of these lights to expose for the windows and then bring up the levels inside the room. You don't have that kind of time. Even if you did have that kind of time, the amount of lighting it would take, the amount of power it would take to try to match the intensity of outside, very, very difficult. Please don't be afraid to do that. This shot is fantastic. I don't know why I didn't use this in the final video. We do long takes, so we don't just like hit record, get the moment, then turn it off, and then go over here, hit the record. There's so many clips you have to filter through. We just do long takes. So this most likely got lost in the middle of one of those, and we couldn't, it totally skipped over the final edit. But I love this shot. You got the sunset, you got them. Absolutely looks fantastic. There's $1 million shot right there. I love to get a close-up and then a wide, and either go wide first to show where they're at and then punch in to show the intimate moment, or do the opposite. And the opposite there's a little bit of tension there. And not tension like Thriller, but tension like, oh, where are they at? Different location, what's going on? So we go in on the tight, and then we pull back on the wide, and it's like, wow, you're adding to the frame. If you start wide, then go in, you're saying, hey, focus on this. If you start close and then pull out, you're giving context to that intimate moment. Love the lights here. If I would have came to the left a little bit, there's another clip of it, but it shows the mountains and everything behind it, which is awesome. One of those where don't be afraid to just follow them around. The only time in the entire day they requested complete privacy was going to this little rotunda up here to eat dinner. And they wanted to have a private meal. The photographer, the planner, all these people, they were like, great, y'all go enjoy your meal, whatever. But being the videographer, knowing what this place looks like, and knowing that I just need 10 seconds. I need 15 seconds. I don't need much. Me and Jacob went up there and we followed them up to the house because with the Corvette in the background, with the backdrop, the scenery, and then walking up these steps with her holding a dress, she just looks like a princess. And that moment, he got it on the wide angle here, and I'm up here on the steps getting them coming toward me. It's just clips like these that you don't see in every wedding video. You got to get out there and fight for your footage. Again, they requested a private dinner. No, we're not encroaching on their space. I went up to Caroline and Bryce and I said, hey guys, this is your private dinner. You know, we're gonna leave you alone. We just need 15, 20 seconds to grab a couple clips and then we'll be out of your hair. They had no problem. I understand they request privacy. You respect that, and we always do. But given the footage, given the scenery, given everything, we had to have this shot. And so we just asked, hey, we're gonna get 20 seconds and we're gonna do this. They had no problem with it. Where people run into problems is they assume that, oh, I'm the videographer, I can go anywhere and do anything. And even if they seem okay with it, they may feel like, hey, that they're not supposed to be here. And the one thing that you wanna do above anything is be very respectful to the bride and groom. Gorgeous first dance at sunset. 2 different camera angles. I'm on the FX6 getting 24 frames a second, which you just saw, and then Jacob is on the gimbal getting everything in 60, and we had 2 different angles, and so I'm able to cut between the spin in 24 frames real motion and cut to the slow motion as he dips her because we have 2 separate angles. Cannot recommend getting a second shooter enough. After this wedding and seeing the amount of extra footage plus angles that I'm able to get so I can cut to different ones, I've only done like 1 or 2 solo. Jacob's been out with me on every single one of them just because there's value in having that second shot, especially when it's someone who knows what they're doing with a camera that you don't have to babysit. I can just say, hey, this is the plan for the day. And then after a couple weddings, him and I just know what to get. No, it's not being redundant, or no, it's not being lazy, just getting the same thing over and over again. But once you work weddings and you know the flow of the day, then it's much easier to divide and conquer and get certain things. And then moments like this, if somebody walks in front of my camera, and say if my camera freaks out and tries to hunt focus, I can immediately cut to his angle and get a different angle. Love this silhouette shot right here. With this angle, typically we get about 40 minutes at sunset on any given wedding day, just because there's trees around, and once it dips behind trees, it becomes blue light very, very quick. But with this being on top of a cliff and there's nothing around, we got about an extra 40 minutes of sunset. So we had about an hour and a half, hour 40 that we were working with to be able to get as many shots as possible. So all the stuff on the bluff that you've seen, all the stuff at the altar that you've seen, on the balcony, we were able to just kind of jump around and get everything. But again, it's all about getting a plan beforehand. One of us is shooting 24 frames, one of us is shooting 60 frames. And so this one, I intentionally had them out of focus just because I love the silhouette look and I like the blur. I like to blur the whole thing. And so you just kind of, it looks like you're on the outside looking in. You're not in their space. And I love that. Same thing right here, her fading out, looking into the sunset. It's all about being intentional, and that's what I want to convey to you. You can absolutely show up and just get every single thing. That's what I did when I started out. I want to say that's what most of us do when we start out because we have no clue what we're doing. So we show up and we get everything on the first look. We get details of every table when we get there, every decoration, everything that you could possibly get. Once you get home and you've got 3 hours of footage to comb through, to find what you want, you start realizing, hey, out of 10 weddings, I've never used this shot. Let me just not get it. After 10 weddings, hey, the first look is very important. I've got to make sure that if anything, I get that first. Where a lot of people mess up, they have 2 different angles or they try to get creative. And one thing Jacob taught me was make sure your A cam, your number 1 angle, is perfect. If you can make sure that's perfect, then your B cam can get creative. Because the last thing you want to do is only have 1 angle and try to have a nice looking creative shot and you miss the moment. You're hunting focus. You miss composition. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that if you only have 1 angle, that it's going to be a solid angle that you can keep the entire duration of the shot. Because you don't want to get back to the edit and miss the one moment because you were trying to get creative. You want to make sure you have it in focus, you can hear it, and it's well exposed.